In this podcast episode, the hosts interview Patrick Bet David, who is the founder of Valuetainment, a media company focused on entrepreneurship and personal development. Bet David talks about his background, growing up in Iran, and his journey to success. He shares a powerful moment when he decided to make a difference in his life after witnessing his father being disrespected at a family party. This moment ignited a fire in him to achieve success and make his father proud. Patrick also discusses the importance of choosing the right enemy in life, someone who challenges and motivates you to achieve greatness. He emphasizes the need for unconditional love and hardcore betrayal from someone close to you as essential experiences for success. The conversation then delves into the world of politics, with the hosts and Patrick discussing potential candidates for the vice president position in the upcoming election. They analyze the strategic considerations and potential alliances that could influence the selection of a running mate for the presidential candidate. Bet David emphasizes the need for a balance between selfishness and selflessness in a leader, citing examples of past presidents and political figures. He also discusses the importance of diplomacy and giving credit to others, especially in the political arena. The conversation then turns to potential candidates for the next presidential election, including Ron DeSantis and Kristi Noem. Bet David analyzes their strengths and weaknesses, highlighting the importance of positioning and strategy in the political landscape. He also predicts that the upcoming election will be chaotic and pivotal for the future of America. The hosts then share their own experiences with political content on their podcast, including backlash and censorship. Bet David acknowledges the shifting landscape of political discourse, noting that companies and platforms are becoming more lenient due to financial considerations. He also emphasizes the power of true believers coming together and uniting for a common cause. Bet David shares his approach to parenting, highlighting the importance of setting high standards for his children. He mentions a rule in his household where his kids have to read 10 books before they can get a video game. He believes that setting high standards early on helps children develop a strong work ethic and a sense of responsibility. He also discusses the impact of low standards in society, particularly in the education system, where he believes that many children are not being challenged enough to reach their full potential. The conversation then shifts to the topic of single motherhood in America. Bet David shares a startling statistic that in 1940, only 4% of children were born to single mothers, but by the present day, that number has risen to 40%. He attributes this increase to the welfare system, particularly the incentives provided to single mothers. He points out that the welfare benefits were increased in 1965, which led to a significant rise in the percentage of single mothers. Bet David explains how the government's incentives for single mothers to have more children led to an increase in the number of kids born to single mothers. He also discusses the impact of incentives on marriage, highlighting how financial benefits for single mothers can discourage marriage. The conversation then shifts to the topic of sex, with Bet David sharing statistics about the decline in sexual activity among young people. He attributes this trend to the availability of online pornography and changing societal norms. The discussion also touches on the importance of high standards in the military and the business world. Bet David draws parallels between the need for high standards in parenting and the need for high standards in other areas of life. He emphasizes the benefits of having high expectations and accountability, both in personal and professional settings. He shares personal anecdotes about his experiences in the military, where he learned the value of high standards and the impact they can have on individual performance. The conversation then delves into the topic of Israel and Palestine, with Bet David expressing his views on the conflict. He discusses the historical and geopolitical factors that have contributed to the ongoing tensions in the region. The podcast also touches on current events, including the recent controversy between Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens at the Daily Wire. Bet David emphasizes the need for open dialogue and constructive communication in resolving differences and maintaining a strong organizational culture. The hosts then ask Bet David about his experience working in the gym business in Los Angeles during the 80s and 90s. He shares anecdotes about encountering various Hollywood personalities and the wild experiences that were common in the industry. He also talks about his brief involvement with the drug trade and how he ultimately chose to pursue a career in financial services. The conversation then turns to Bet David's real estate ventures, including his purchase of a $20.4 million house in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. He discusses the record-breaking nature of the purchase and the subsequent sale of an even more expensive property in the same area. Bet David also shares his plans to move to Miami and the reasons behind the decision. The conversation then delves into Bet David's personal life, including how he met his wife. He shares the story of their initial meeting and the eventual development of their relationship. Bet David also discusses the importance of asking critical questions before getting engaged and recommends a book titled 101 Questions to Ask Before You Get Engaged as a valuable resource for couples considering marriage.